Hi, my name is Nastona Hilda, a medical student at Gulu University. I welcome you all to my YouTube channel. For those who have been moving along with me, I've been talking about computers, different things when using a computer, and specifically today, I'll be talking about the errors faced when using Microsoft Excel. And the first thing that I'm going to be doing, I already have a document prepared for taking you through everything. After having inserted in everything that you need, we have some different errors that occur in Microsoft Excel, and I'll be showing you how to avoid them so that you don't make mistakes when calculating your numbers, when doing your old stuff. So basically, the first error that I'm going to be talking about is called #div. This error specifically occurs when you divide any number by 0. Here in Microsoft Excel, we don't divide any value by 0, so it gives you a #div. For instance, here I may say if I get 90, divide by 0, and I press enter. This is what I'm given. This indicates that you cannot divide any value by 0. So that's an error. That's a common error in Microsoft Excel. So you should avoid such errors. You avoid it by not dividing any number by 0. So besides that error, we have many other errors besides that. For instance, our next error in Microsoft Excel is called the hash value error. For this error, this is where you're substituting in for a different missing value. For instance, I'm having science and SST. We have values for each, but what if I replace the value here and I put the word missing? Then for this case, and I'm like, this will be equal to this minus this. Then I press enter. For this case, and I try to see, this is called the hash value error. So for this kind of error, you should always make sure you either leave the cell blank. Actually, you have to leave the cell blank in order to tackle such an error, just in case you're faced with such an error. So that's the thing you're supposed to do. You're supposed to leave this cell either blank, so that rectifies everything. As you can see, it gives you a 54. So that's called a hash value error. So my next error is called the hash name error. For this case, we all know that when computing for the total, for anything, we use sum. So in our Microsoft Excel, we don't use sum, we use total. So just in case you're like equals sum, it's like we use sum, not total. Just in case you're like equals total, then you're like, I'm using this as an example. It gives you this, the hash name error. That's an error that occurs when you're using the wrong name. For instance, I told you in my previous video, for total we use sum, for the average we use average, for the position we use range. Then for comments, I showed you how to do this. So just in case you miss out a name and you put a wrong name, you're given the hash name error. Then my last error for today is called the hash reference error. For this error, it's a type of error, that you're going to face just in case. For instance, for this, my entire column for this, I think it was formed as a result of subtracting the marks for science and SST. Now for instance, I do this, and if for instance I come to this column and I highlight the whole of this and I delete. Remember, this is basing on science. I was subtracting SST from science, so this gives you the hash error. The hash reference error. This is also another common error that you face in Microsoft Excel. So when you're using Microsoft Excel, you have to watch out for these errors. To prevent making such errors, you have to follow the tips that I've given to you, and to use them diligently to avoid such errors. Because remember, you're using Microsoft Excel to simplify your life and to make life harder. So if faced with such errors, you have to minimize errors. Listen to this video, share, subscribe and share, so that you may also help those who are also having issues like you to tackle such a problem. Thank you so much for listening to me. That's all I had for today. I was talking about the different errors in Microsoft Excel, and I've given you 4 errors. I know you can remember the hash name, hash value, hash reference and hash div errors. So for more content like this, please stay tuned to my YouTube channel. I'll be giving you very important information. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for paying attention. I remain Nasuna Hilda, a medical student at Gulu University.